In a quiet suburban neighborhood, a simple traffic stop takes an unexpected turn. Two white officers pull over a black man, their suspicions heightened by the high-end car he's driving. They ask questions, their tone sharp, their assumptions clear. The man, calm but cautious, complies without argument. To them, he's just another face, another statistic. But little do they know, the person they're confronting is no ordinary citizen. What starts as a routine encounter quickly spirals into accusations that lead to his arrest. The officers are confident they've uncovered something big. They don't realize they've just detained a highly trained CIA agent, someone who lives and operates in a world far beyond their comprehension. The courtroom becomes the stage where truths are revealed, exposing not just the man's identity, but the prejudices and assumptions that led to his arrest. What happens next will leave everyone questioning justice itself. As the trial begins, the courtroom is packed, the air thick with tension. The officers are confident, their accounts of the arrest rehearsed and unwavering. They paint a picture of a man who seemed out of place, whose car and behavior didn't match their expectations. But the more they speak, the more they reveal their biases, their assumptions, and their disregard for the possibility that they might be wrong. Meanwhile, the black man remains composed, his lawyer sitting beside him, preparing for the fight of their lives. What the officers don't know is that this man's calm demeanor isn't born of fear. It's the result of years of training. A skill set that's helped him navigate some of the most dangerous and complex situations in the world. But he's not here to talk about his CIA career. Instead, he's fighting for his freedom, his reputation, and for the truth to finally come out. As the courtroom drama unfolds, it becomes clear that the case is not just about one man's arrest. It's about the deep-rooted issues of racial profiling and systemic bias. The prosecutor, a determined woman in her 30s, pushes hard to expose the flaws in the officer's testimony. She presents evidence that shows how their assumptions about the man were based on stereotypes rather than facts. The tension grows with every cross-examination, as the defense lawyer works tirelessly to make the officers question their own motives. On the other side, the two officers, one younger, eager to prove himself, and the other older, hardened by years on the force, are beginning to unravel under the pressure. The younger officer, whose eagerness for validation led him to make careless mistakes, starts to doubt his own actions. The older officer, a man who's seen it all, seems convinced that they're still in the right, despite mounting evidence to the contrary. But the most unsettling part of all is the man's silence. He's not just a witness in this trial. He's the central figure, yet he says little. His past, his training, remain buried in the shadows. The longer the trial goes on, the more the officers, along with everyone in the room, begin to wonder, who is this man really? What exactly is he hiding? And what lengths will he go to protect his secrets? As the walls close in, every word and action starts to feel like a piece of a much bigger puzzle, with an answer that nobody is ready for. The tension in the courtroom is palpable now, each day escalating with the weight of unanswered questions. As the trial nears its final stages, cracks begin to form in the officer's testimony. Their inconsistencies are hard to ignore, and the younger officer's nervousness is growing with every cross-examination. The older officer, however, remains stubborn, his belief in their narrative unwavering. But there's something else in the air, a shift, a sense that something deeper is at play. The defense lawyer presses harder. The accusations of racial profiling are becoming impossible to deny, and with every point made, the officers grow more defensive. They fidget, exchange uneasy glances. The courtroom is alive with whispers. The public is starting to take sides. Some believe the officers have simply made a mistake. Others are convinced this is yet another example of an unjust system at work. Then, just as the prosecution seems to be gaining momentum, a bombshell is dropped. The defense lawyer, in a calculated move, requests that the man testify. For the first time, his voice is heard in the trial. The room falls silent. He stands up, his eyes calm, yet sharp with an intensity that commands attention. His voice cuts through the tension, but he speaks slowly, carefully. Every word feels measured, like he's not only answering questions, but also weighing the consequences of revealing his truth. The officers watch in confusion, unsure of what's coming next. The audience leans in, eager for answers, but the man gives nothing away. The silence is deafening, and the walls close in tighter. His story, his true identity, is now hanging in the balance. And just as everyone thinks they're about to get the answer they've been waiting for, the unexpected happens. The courtroom door slams open, an interruption. A figure enters, and the room collectively holds its breath. Who could it be, and what will they reveal? The truth is about to break wide open, but in what way? The figure who steps into the courtroom is unassuming at first, dressed in a simple black suit, yet there's an air of authority that immediately commands attention. It's an unfamiliar face, but there's something about the way they carry themselves that seems strangely familiar to the man at the center of the trial. The crowd is hushed as the person walks straight toward the defense table, where they hand over a folder to the lawyer. The defense lawyer opens it slowly, scanning the contents. Then, without saying a word, they turn toward the judge. The room is thick with confusion and curiosity. The judge looks at the defense lawyer, then at the newcomer, and finally at the man whose fate hangs in the balance. But before anyone can speak, the defense lawyer stands, holding the file high. Your Honor, this new evidence changes everything. It's time to acknowledge the full extent of my client's identity. A murmur runs through the crowd as the defense lawyer begins to read aloud from the file, revealing documents that seem impossible. The man who had been arrested, the man everyone assumed was just an ordinary citizen. He was not just a CIA agent. He was someone much more covered, someone deeply involved in a secretive operation that had remained under wraps for years. And then the real shock comes. The new figure in the courtroom isn't just a witness. They are an insider, someone with direct ties to the agency, someone who had been monitoring the entire situation from the shadows. They revealed that the officer's actions had been more than just a case of racial profiling. It's now clear that there was an intentional setup, a deliberate framing of the black man. As the courtroom processes this new revelation, the stakes skyrocket. What were these officers really involved in? Why were they targeting the man so aggressively? The unexpected twist exposes a web of corruption. And the real question now is who else is complicit in this conspiracy? The tension reaches a boiling point, but with each new piece of information, the truth becomes even murkier, and the courtroom is left reeling, hanging on the edge of disaster. As the courtroom erupts into chaos, the figure who had entered moments before steps forward, their expression stern. The defense lawyer's voice rings out, demanding that the officers be held accountable for their actions. But just as it seems the case might be coming to a close, the unthinkable happens. The judge looks down at the newly revealed documents, his face shifting from confusion to realization. Your Honor, I have reason to believe we've all been played, the judge announces, his voice trembling slightly. The room falls dead silent, and all eyes shift to the man who has been sitting quietly throughout the trial. The black man, whose life has been in limbo, stands up suddenly, locking eyes with the figure who entered earlier. There's a shared recognition between them, a knowing look. The shockwave hits as the judge reveals the final twist. The man wasn't just a CIA agent. He was an undercover operative within the very agency that had been monitoring the officers all along. His role wasn't to protect the system, but to dismantle it from the inside. The officers had been part of an illegal surveillance ring, using their badge to carry out covert missions for their own gain. The black man's arrest wasn't an accident. It was orchestrated to keep him from exposing the network. The unexpected arrival was a fellow agent sent to confirm the truth. The courtroom buzzes with disbelief. The officers' faces go pale as they realize they've been caught in a trap far larger than they could comprehend. But the man, now revealed as the key to uncovering a dangerous conspiracy, turns away from them, stepping toward the exit, leaving behind a system that had tried to silence him.